Hey y'all, hope you guys are doing well today. Just wanted to come by with some updates and new developments in the case of Ashlee Jenae and her fiance, Joe McCann. Her parents have spoken out, stating that they have some skepticism behind what has gone on with their daughter while on that trip for her birthday. Let's get into some of that information. Influencer Ashlee Jenae, whose government name is Ashley Robinson's parents, have spoken out. Yolanda and Harry have spoken out about the untimely demise of their daughter, stating that she seemed to be in great spirits when they heard from her last while on her trip in Tanzania.
She was happy. This is what she wanted.
She FaceTimed me, showed me her ring. She's like, Papa, I'm happy.
But days later, local authorities say hotel guests reported a romantic conflict between the couple, prompting management to move McCann to a separate room. A few hours later, authorities say she was found unresponsive in her room by hotel staff.
I did receive a phone call from Joe. He told me that Ashley did something to herself and that she was being taken to the hospital, and that he told me that she was stable.
After receiving treatment at 2 hospitals, Robinson was declared deceased. A hospital medical report suggesting she died by suicide, noting an unidentified mark around her neck. But Robinson's family not accepting that explanation. They want more information.
She's never done anything that would ever lead me to believe that she would do something to harm herself like that. She was happy.
So as you just heard there, Ashlee's parents are in a state of disbelief and shock. They do not comprehend or think that their daughter would take her own life, especially after a phone call where she seemed so happy to be a new fiance. At this moment, there are more questions than answers. The public also is giving a side eye to the fiance, as well as I am. They did have an argument to where they did have to be moved to separate rooms. And I myself would like to know, is there any video cameras? You know, when you stay in a hotel, there's usually cameras in the hallway. Is there anything where he is actually, caught on camera actually going to visit her, after this argument in her room, coming from his room to her room? There's just more questions at this time than answers. It is stated that he is actually being held and his passport has been confiscated. While doing some research on McMahon, I found out that he was heavily involved in cryptocurrency and has had a company by the name of Asymmetric that was actually doing really, really well. He was also on a podcast that I have found that's called When the Shift Happens, and he stated that he thrives in volatile situations. Let's take a listen.
Joe McCann, founder, CEO, and CIO at Asymmetric.
2023's top-performing hedge fund globally. Joe is an early Solana investor.
And my trading partner, who's also very good at trading volatility, we thrive in those types of environments. And so I think crypto being arguably the most volatile asset class in history to date is perfectly primed for someone like myself.
You thrive in chaos?
I would probably change that to thrive in volatility. The thing about chaos is that it's very difficult to define what it is and also kind of manage the risk around chaos. Chaos is it's exactly what it sounds like. There is no way to accurately describe what a chaotic environment is. Whereas a volatile environment, I think, is more there is some constraint around the environment, but there's this kind of injected, anxiety almost into it or something, right? And I don't mean the price is going down or price is going up. It just means that there is this level of volatility that juices whatever that environment is like. Whereas chaos, you don't know anything about it. It's very difficult to kind of manage, I think, in that environment for, frankly, anybody.
You thrive in volatility?
Mm-hmm.
And
I love vol.
So you just heard Joe McCann state that he thrives in volatility, even going as far to say that he loves volatility. My question is this love for volatility only in crypto, or do you think that it could actually slide over to something that could actually be physical as well? While doing some more research and digging on Mr. Joe McCann, I did come across another YouTuber by the name of O'Shea Duke Jackson, who had conducted his own research and found that McCann's company, Asymmetric Technology, had recently taken a hit and was not doing so well. Let's listen to what O'Shea had found.
2025, parts of the cryptocurrency market were crashing, especially the coin Solana. And he went from making a bunch of profits to losing almost $100 million. He would appear on this podcast called Kyle Chassis Crypto and talk about the mistakes he made with his portfolio for his clients.
2025, every single narrative failed for Bitcoin. And I got caught up in that. I think a lot of fund managers got caught up in that. And a lot of just retail investors got caught up in that. And the narratives that had worked prior to Bitcoin just flat out didn't work.
Joe McCann was running one of the best crypto funds on planet Earth in 2025. He was investing in coins such as Solana and Bitcoin, and he was on top of his game. And when you're on top of your game in the investing world, you get into more doors, you get into more rooms, and more people want to be a part of what you got, especially the clout. When you're managing people's money, let's say, for example, if you have like $100 million invested, well, if you're managing the fund, you can take 3 to 5% of the fee for yourself. And that is a lot of money.
So you just heard O'Shea Duke Jackson state through his research, he found that McCann had basically lost almost $100 million. And this is enough to send anybody over the edge, especially in this economy at this point in time. It has also been cited that the rapper Iggy Azalea had commented on Ashlee Jenae's page, stating that a lot of people, including herself, had stopped doing business with McCann because he had some pretty shady practices within the cryptocurrency business. So this brings me to the end of this video. But before I go, what I will say is that I really do hope that Zanzibar, Tanzania, is actually doing the investigation work that they are supposed to be doing. I have heard and through a little bit of research found that their legal system as far as law enforcement and detective work is really not up to par over that way. It is also said that they do kind of place the Caucasian race above their own over there, allegedly. I do hope that, you know, her family can actually come to peace with what has happened. I don't know how much peace they will find because this is something extremely sad, but I just hope that they can find some sort of peace and serenity with themselves and get some justice for what has happened to their daughter, as most of the public believes that Joe McCann has actually had something to do with this. What I will say is that, you know, they say that warning always comes before destruction. And some of the comments that were actually left on her page, even up to 22 weeks ago, just has a very eerie feeling behind it. It's almost like she was being warned and didn't take heed. So all in all, I just, you know, hope that the authorities can bring justice to Ashlee Jenae Robinson and that things are uncovered that needs to be uncovered in this situation. All right, I'll talk to y'all soon. Let me know what you guys think about this case. Do you have any speculations, anything that doesn't seem right to you? Let me know. Drop it in the comments.